This happened just a few months ago. I'm Jessica, a freelance graphic designer, and I had recently moved to this vibrant city. I lost my job and really needed something to pay the bills. Most nights, I scrolled through Craigslist looking for gigs. I wasn't a pro, but I was hopeful. One night, I stumbled upon an ad that caught my eye. It was for a retro gaming console at a price so low, I thought it had to be a mistake. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I clicked on the ad and reached out to the seller. Their responses were vague but intriguing. Finally, they invited me to their home. That I hesitated. I didn't know the area well, but I really wanted that console. I thought it would make a fun story later. So, I decided to go. When I arrived, the first thing I noticed was the flickering lights. The place felt off. I saw odd cameras in the corners, making me uneasy. I scanned the room, seeing strange items, old dolls and boxes of broken electronics. I felt uncomfortable, but I pushed that thought aside. They were just a quirky collector, I told myself. That I bought the console quickly and left. But over the next week, things changed. I noticed strange coincidences around my apartment. Objects seemed to move when I wasn't looking. I came across orbs in my photos. At night, whispers filled the silence, making my heart race. I tried to convince myself it was just the building's age getting to me. Then one night, I felt a chill in the air. It was like someone was waiting just outside my door. I kept telling myself it was nothing, but the occurrences grew worse. My dreams turned unsettling, waking me in a cold sweat. I couldn't stop thinking about the seller. What was their real game? I started talking to my neighbors, but they were vague when I asked about past tenants. They kept mentioning people who vanished without a trace. I tried not to let it get to me, thinking it was just rumors. Sometimes, I thought about confronting the seller. I wondered what they were involved in. But I wasn't sure I could trust myself anymore. It felt like I was in deep water. One night, while I browsed old photos, I spotted an orb again. This one was brighter. The whispers grew louder, filling my ears. Suddenly, I heard a rattling at my door. I froze. My heart raced. I breathed deeply, then opened it. No one was there. But I could feel a presence. Something heavy and watching me. As I stepped back, I heard a soft voice. It seemed to come from thin air. You shouldn't have come here. I was frozen with fear. I didn't know what to do next. Should I go back to that seller? Should I call for help? Or should I just stay quiet, hoping it would all go away? I felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on me. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the gaming console. It looked innocent enough, just a piece of plastic and wires. But I knew it wasn't just that. Whatever I had brought into my home was causing this. I decided I had to find out more about the seller. I grabbed my jacket and headed out. The streets felt unusually quiet, as if the world was holding its breath. I arrived at the neighborhood where I had bought the console, my heart racing. I stood outside the building, debating whether to go inside again. What if the seller wasn't home? What if they were? I didn't want to find out. Suddenly, I spotted a woman walking by. She looked familiar, someone who had lived in my building. "Excuse me," I called out, rushing to catch up. "Do you know anything about the people who used to live there?" She frowned. "You mean the place with the strange guy?" I nodded. "Yeah, that's the one. They say he collects unusual things," she whispered, glancing around as if afraid someone would hear. "People in the area avoid it. I wouldn't go there again." Her warning sent a chill down my spine, but I needed more information. Unusual things? Like what? Dolls, old electronics. Some people think he's different. Rumors say he did things to them. She shook her head, her eyes wide. "I know a few who went in and didn't come out the same." Just, be careful. With that, she hurried away. I stood frozen, digesting what she said. The stories, the orbs, the whispers, they were all connected to that cellar. Somehow, he had been the start of it all. That night felt heavier than usual. I tried to focus on my work, but the shadows in my apartment loomed larger. The whispers grew more insistent, wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. I couldn't ignore them. In a feverish impulse, I picked up my phone to search online. I needed to know the seller's name. I typed in the address and saw an old article pop up. My stomach dropped. It detailed a family from years ago that had lived in that building, a family that reportedly went missing one night. Their names were unfamiliar, but the article mentioned the father as a collector of oddities. Then everything went dark. The lights in my apartment flickered and died, plunging me into total darkness. I fumbled for my phone, the light illuminating my face as I squinted. I heard a faint noise behind me, a hushed whisper that sent a jolt of fear through me. "Let us out," it breathed. I turned, fully expecting to face something horrible. But the room was empty. I felt a panic rising, realizing I had no one to turn to. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. That's when I heard it again, closer this time. "You should have never taken the console." I stumbled backward, heart racing. The weight of the air thickened as shadows swirled around me. I had to get out, to escape whatever darkness had seeped in. But where could I go now? This seemed far from over. I took a deep breath, clutching my phone tightly. I was determined to unravel whatever mystery I had stumbled into. Little did I know, I was just at the beginning of a much darker revelation. The next morning, the light filtering through the blinds did little to calm my nerves. I had barely slept, consumed by thoughts of the console, the whispers, and the shadows. I sat in my living room, heart still racing, trying to piece things together. I couldn't stay in my apartment. I needed to go back to the cellar's building. I had to confront whoever was behind this. The woman's words echoed in my mind. What exactly had he done? I grabbed my keys and headed out again. As I approached the building, anxiety gripped me. This time, it felt even more foreboding, like the building itself was watching me. The air was thick, and I hesitated at the front entrance. Taking a deep breath, I finally pushed the door open. The hallway was dim, and the silence felt unsettling. I knocked on the door of the unit I had visited before, my heart pounding. After a few moments, there was no answer. Just as I began to turn away, I heard shuffling from inside. "Who is it?" A voice called out, gravelly and cautious. "It's me, the one who bought the console." My voice came out shaky. "I need to talk to you." The door cracked open just enough for a pair of tired eyes to peek out. "What do you want?" "I need to know about that console. Please, it's important." The eyes narrowed, and the door opened wider. The seller looked disheveled, his clothes wrinkled and stained. "You shouldn't have taken it. Not everyone can handle what's inside." He shook his head as if that was all he needed to say. "I don't know what you mean. I'm hearing things, whispers. I need answers." I pleaded. He stepped back, allowing me to enter. The room smelled musty, filled with old electronics and dust. An array of objects covered the walls, everything from dolls to strange trinkets. Each piece seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Others have come here," he said, pointing to a dusty black box sitting on a shelf. "It's all connected to that console you bought. It has a soul, a history. It can twist your mind, make you hear things, see things." "What do you mean, twist my mind?" I felt the panic rising again. He looked at me seriously. "It reveals truths, but it also traps you. You need to get rid of it." My stomach churned. "Get rid of it? How? It won't just disappear." He sighed heavily. "You have to find the right place. A place where the energies can be released. Or else what? I pressed. Or else it will keep you. It might already have. As dread settled over me, I turned to leave, but a strange glint caught my eye. A mirror hung on the wall, with an image that didn't reflect the room as I saw it. There was movement, dark shadows just outside the frame. The whispers grew louder in my mind, echoing that ominous phrase I'd heard before, "You should have never taken the console." I jolted back, my pulse quickening. I felt trapped, like the essence of whatever I had brought into my life was staring back at me. I needed to escape. "Listen," I said, urgency driving my words. "Tell me where to go. Now." He hesitated, glancing at the mirror. "The old church on Elm Street. It's where you can release it. But be careful. Something might not want you to." Before I could ask anything else, the shadows in the mirror flickered, almost alive. I felt a new urgency to get away. I rushed out, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The church on Elm Street was my only hope, but as I stepped back into the hallway, I realized something was watching me. Something hungry that I had to move fast. I bolted down the hallway, adrenaline pushing me forward. Every footfall echoed against the stained walls, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. My heart raced, sparking a desperate need to get to the church, all while a sense of dread clawed at my back that I reached the front door and flung it open. The outside world felt like a different universe. I sprinted down the street, ignoring the odd stares from passers-by. My mind was fixed on one thought, the church. As I neared Elm Street, the shadows of the buildings loomed larger, almost swallowing me in their embrace. The moment I saw the old church, my pulse quickened. It looked ancient, with crumbling stone and stained glass shattered from time. Yet, there was an unsettling charm about it, like it held secrets waiting to be unveiled. I stepped inside, the heavy door creaking ominously. Dust hung in the air, and dim light filtered through the fragmented windows. I took a hesitant step forward, my breath catching in my throat. The silence wrapped around me like a shroud. If I were to release the console, it had to be here. Suddenly, I heard a rustling. I turned toward the sound, half expecting to see a ghost or a wandering spirit. Instead, an old man sat at the front of the church, hunched over a tattered book. He wore a long, frayed robe, and his eyes sparkled with an unusual intensity. "I know why you're here," he said without looking up. "Who are you?" I demanded, nerves on edge. "The one who waits for the lost," he replied, finally locking eyes with me. There was an unsettling familiarity in his gaze. "You've brought something with you. Something you shouldn't have." I felt exposed. "The console. It's not just a console. It is a tether, binding you to its whispers. Many have come before you, lured by its promise and trapped by its curse." I swallowed hard. "I want to release it. I have to." He nodded, slowly closing his book. "To do so, you must make a choice. Speak its name and summon its essence. But beware the shadows that cling to it. Do not take kindly to abandonment." My stomach twisted in dread. This wasn't just a simple task. I felt the weight of the console hanging heavily in my bag, as if it had its own heartbeat. "Speak its name?" I asked, confusion rising. "What do you mean?" "The name of the one who created it. He made a pact. Bonded his soul to it. It carries his essence, and only his name can shatter your bond. Do you know it?" He paused. "Only those who have faced the darkness know its name. And only they can release you." Before I could ask further, the atmosphere shifted. I felt a menacing chill wash over me, and the shadows in the church thickened. Whispers echoed in the corners, taunting, beckoning. I realized that whatever presence I had felt before was growing stronger. "Forget it," I said, panic creeping into my voice. "I can't face any more." "Your fear feeds it," the old man warned, rising to his feet. "You must summon the courage to confront what seeks to claim you. Or you will become part of its collection. That was when I saw it, a dark figure emerging from the shadows, its shape undulating and shifting. My breath caught. I felt paralyzed. "Run!" the old man shouted, but the words were drowned out by a sinister laugh. I turned and bolted for the exit. I couldn't let it take me. I had to get so far away, but the darkness from the console was close behind. The chase had begun. I sprinted into the night, the cool air biting at my skin as I tore down the church steps. My mind raced. I had to create distance between me and that thing. With each step, the laughter echoed in my ears, growing fainter but not gone. I glanced back, expecting it to be hot on my heels, but there was nothing, only the daunting outline of the church swallowed by darkness. I turned the corner onto Elm Street, my breath heavy in my chest. Everything felt wrong. I needed to get somewhere safe. My eyes scanned for signs of life, but the street was eerily quiet. Stores were boarded up, and street lamps flickered, casting unsettling shadows at the console. It was still in my bag, a dark mass of dread that felt alive against my side. I couldn't ignore the pull it had over me. The old man's words echoed in my mind as I ran. I had to confront the darkness. Somehow, I felt like it wanted me, was waiting for me to summon its name. But that was a mystery I had no intention of solving right now. As I reached the end of the street, I spotted a diner, a neon sign flickering like a heartbeat. I pushed through the door, the bell jingling weakly above me. Inside, the warmth wrapped around me like a blanket. The place was nearly empty, save for a young waitress who looked up from her crossword puzzle. She raised an eyebrow as I stumbled in, disheveled and wild-eyed. "Everything okay?" she asked, concern evident. Just need to catch my breath," I gasped, sliding into a booth. The fluorescent lights buzzed, and I could almost feel the tension easing from my shoulders. "Want a coffee?" she offered, oblivious to the turmoil spiraling inside me. Sure," I mumbled. My mind was still racing. I fished out my phone, hoping to distract myself from the shadows lurking just outside. As I scrolled through my contacts, a notification popped up, an email from a name I hadn't seen in ages. Project Tephra, it read. My heart skipped a beat. Project Tephra. I had thought it was just a phase, something the group I used to hang with dabbled in before everything fell apart. The message was short, the subject line enough to send a fresh rush of memories flooding back. "Are you alright? You're looking a little pale," the waitress said, pulling me from my thoughts. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Just remembering something." Suddenly, the bell over the door rang again. I looked up, my heart racing as a tall figure stepped inside, cloaked in shadows. My instincts flared up. They scanned the diner, and for a moment, our eyes met. An icy chill washed over me. There was something unsettling about them, a familiarity I couldn't quite place. Then they turned and walked to the counter. The waitress followed, glancing back at me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. That figure knew something about me, about the console. The waitress returned with my coffee, but my focus was on the shadowy figure. I leaned forward, trying to catch snippets of their conversation. Just as I leaned closer, everything went dark. The lights flickered violently before shutting off completely. Panic surged through me. "Stay calm," the waitress shouted, her voice barely cutting through the rising panic. I felt the grip of the console tighten in my bag. I needed answers, and soon. But as the darkness enveloped us, I couldn't shake the feeling that the figure had come for me. My heart raced as I wondered if they had more connections to the console than I realized. I felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on me as I sat in the pitch-black diner. I could barely see anything, just shadows moving around me. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I couldn't bring myself to move. The diner had always felt like a refuge, a place where I could escape the chaos outside. Now, it felt like a trap. "Hang on." The waitress's voice pulled me from my spiral of fear. I heard her fumbling for a flashlight, the sound digging deeper into my anxiety. Then came the first flicker of light, a weak beam cutting through the dark. It illuminated her worried face, and for a moment, it was comforting. But then, I glanced toward where the figure had been standing. They were gone. Where did they go? I asked, my voice shaky. The back. I think they went into the kitchen, she replied, her eyes wide and frantic. A chill trickled down my spine. I had to know who they were and what they wanted. But as soon as the thought crossed my mind, it hit me hard. That figure was connected to the console in my bag and the strange email I had just opened. Stay here. I blurted out. I didn't wait for her to respond. I couldn't. I slipped out of the booth, quietly making my way toward the kitchen door. The darkness tucked itself around me like a cloak. Every cautious step felt like I was inching closer to danger. I reached the door, my heart thudding in my ears. I pushed it open slowly, cringing at the creak of the hinges. The kitchen was empty. Metal clanked as I stepped inside, and the smell of grease hung in the air. Hello? I called, my voice sounding swallowed by the space around me. No answer came. I peered into the dimly lit corners, my eyes adjusting slowly. That's when I saw it. A small notebook lying on the floor near the industrial stove. I crouched down to pick it up, flipping it open. My breath caught in my throat. Inside were sketches, strange, twisted shapes and symbols that seemed familiar but also frighteningly foreign. Among them, I recognized the symbol from the console. Something whispered in the back of my mind. Could this have been the connection I was searching for? Just then, the kitchen door swung closed behind me, the sound echoing like a gunshot. I jumped, heart racing, and turned to see the figure standing there, the shadows wrapping around them. Their face remained hidden, but I could feel their gaze boring into me. Who are you? I demanded, but my voice shook. I had to know what I was up against, but fear coiled tightly in my gut. Not your enemy, they said, their voice low and resonant. But I need the console. It can't fall into the wrong hands. The gravity of their words hung in the air. I took a step back, the notebook clutched tightly against my chest. I didn't know if I could trust them, but the urgency in their voice was real. Before I could ask more, the kitchen lights flickered back on, illuminating us both. I could now see their face. And that familiar look sent chills racing down my spine. They were someone I recognized, someone from Project Tephra. Before I could say anything, they lunged forward. I stumbled back, the notebook slipping from my grip and fluttering to the ground. Give it to me. They shouted, the menace clear in their tone. This was no longer just an encounter, it was a fight for survival. And I had to decide whether to run or to confront this stranger from my past. I hit the ground hard, scrambling to recover as the figure lunged again. In a heartbeat, I snatched the notebook off the floor, clutching it tightly in my hands like a shield. Get away from me! I shouted, my breath quickening. Panic surged through me, and I glanced around the kitchen for an escape route. The man's eyes held a fierce determination, and in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about the console, it was about something much bigger. With a swift movement, I dashed toward the back door, my instincts taking over. I surged forward, squeezing past him just as he reached for me. I stumbled into the dimly lit hallway leading to the diner's exit, my heart pounding like a war drum. Stop! He shouted, but I kept moving, adrenaline pushing me faster. I had to reach safety, but then I felt a surge of desperation. If this stranger was tied to Project Tephra, I needed to know more. I paused for just a moment, considering whether to confront him again or to bolt through the diner door. Wait! He called after me. You don't understand. I turned, keeping my defenses up. Understand what? That you're after this? I waved the notebook, earning a look of frustration mixed with urgency from him. Yes. It holds answers. He took a cautious step closer, his tone shifting to something softer. It's not what you think. If they find it, everything will change. Those words made my heart skip. Who's they? I demanded. I knew I shouldn't trust him, but my curiosity was almost unbearable. The ones that shut down the project. The ones that want the console for themselves, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. They'll do anything to get it. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging the kitchen into darkness for a moment. Panic swept over me. Sounds of footsteps echoed outside the diner, and I felt a chill grip my spine. My instinct screamed at me that we were no longer alone. That's them. He shouted, urgency flooding his voice. We have to get out of here. I hesitated, glancing back toward the kitchen entrance. He wasn't lying. I could hear the door to the diner swinging open, a new danger slipping inside. What about the console? I asked, torn between fear and the allure of uncovering a hidden truth. If we don't get out of here now, we won't have a chance to figure it out. He insisted. Just then, the door crashed against the wall, the heavy footsteps advancing, and I knew we were running out of time. I made my decision. I sprinted toward him, my resolve hardening. Okay, then we get out. But if you're lying to me, I'm not. He replied, offering me a fleeting glimpse of desperation that I couldn't ignore. We dashed toward the back exit together, the weight of secrets and uncertainty swirling around us. I bolted through the door, the cool night air rushing at me like a wave, pain and exhilaration pulsing through my veins. Yet I sensed that whatever lay ahead was far more dangerous than anything I had faced before. We had escaped the diner, but whatever we were stepping into was darker than I had ever imagined. We stumbled into the night, breathless and wide-eyed. The neon lights from the diner flickered behind us like a distant warning. I glanced back to see shadows moving inside, closer than I liked. I couldn't make out their faces, but their intentions felt heavy in the air. Where do we go? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Follow me, he said, pulling me by the arm down the alley beside the diner. The pavement was cold under my feet. I could hear my heart racing along with my thoughts, battling the confusion swirling in my mind. Who are you, anyway? I shot out, desperation edging my tone. And why do you want the notebook so bad? I promise, I'll explain everything. My name is Ethan. I was part of Project Tephra. This isn't just some random notebook, it's a blueprint. It has the details of what? What exactly are we up against? I felt a mix of fear and urgency. Just trust me. If they catch us, he trailed off, and I could see the fear in his eyes. We rounded a corner and ducked into a shadowy space that smelled faintly of garbage. A distant noise echoed behind us. My pulse quickened. I didn't want to look back, but I couldn't help it. Do you really think they're right behind us? I asked, trying to keep calm. What are they after? The console, and everything it can do. They think if they can retrieve it and shut down what remains of the project, they can erase anyone who knows too much. I felt a chill run down my spine. Erase? I didn't want to think about what that could mean. My mind raced back to the moments in the diner. I had barely grasped how deep this thing ran. Why me? Because you have that notebook. And something about you felt different. Before I could respond, I heard the sound of footsteps getting closer. It was the same heavy sounds we had heard before, but this time they were closer, more urgent. Ethan motioned for silence. I held my breath, trying to grip the notebook tightly. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, startling me. I gasped, my heart skidding. Turn it off. He hissed. No, wait. I said, as I pulled it out. A message flashed on the screen, an unknown number. It's from someone named Sarah, I whispered, feeling a rush of conflicting emotions. What does it say? They're coming for you. Trust no one. Panic settled in, and the footsteps stopped just a few feet away. I could feel each heartbeat in my ears. What did that mean? Who was Sarah? Before I could answer, the alley was illuminated by a light. Someone stepped into view, and I froze. The man looked familiar, an unsettling smile spreading across his face. "Good evening," he said, his voice smooth yet menacing. "Looks like you've been quite the busy bee." I knew in that moment that whatever was happening had just taken a turn for the worse. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. The man's presence was suffocating, like the air had vanished from the alley. I turned to Ethan, searching for any sign of hope, but his jaw was set tight, eyes flicking between the man and the shadows behind him. "What do you want?" Ethan said, his voice low but firm. The man smiled wider, like he enjoyed the tension. "Oh, I believe you know what I want," he replied, stepping closer. "That notebook holds secrets your little hands can't grasp." "Secrets?" My voice was shaky, but I pushed through the fear. "What secrets?" He glanced at me, and that unsettling grin never faded. "The kind that can change everything. Just give it to me, and we can end this little charade." "No!" Ethan shouted, stepping in front of me. "Get away from her." The man laughed, a sound that echoed off the alley walls. "This isn't just a game, boy. You don't even know who you're dealing with." My mind raced, trying to connect the dots. This man wasn't just a random threat. I could feel it deep in my gut. "Who are you?" I managed to ask that. He paused as if weighing his words. "They call me Ward. But that's irrelevant. What matters is the notebook and what's inside." My heart sank. The fear that had settled over me moments ago now twisted into something sharper. "If you think I'll just hand it over?" Ward interrupted, his tone suddenly icy. "I don't think you understand. We're past handovers. You're in way over your head, and I'm here to clean up the mess." Before I could process his words, Ethan grabbed my arm and pulled me back. "We need to run." Ward reached for something at his waist, and panic surged through me. I didn't have time to think. I spun on my heels, following Ethan as we dashed back down the alley. The dim light faded behind us, but the sound of footsteps echoed eerily close. "Where are we going?" I asked breathlessly, glancing around for any sign of escape. "Just keep moving," he urged, adrenaline punctuating his words as we turned into another shadowy street. "We have to find a place to hide, to regroup." The air was tense, each step feeling like a countdown. I glanced back, half expecting to see Ward charging after us, but the alley had gone quiet. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked nearby. "Ethan, what's Project Tephra?" I blurted, needing answers, desperate to understand. He took a breath, his expression darkening. "That notebook isn't just a blueprint, it's a key. A key to something terrifying that we stopped long ago. Someone wants to bring it back." I couldn't comprehend the weight of his words. If there was a threat powerful enough to resurrect something like that, we needed to act quickly. Then, from the shadows, a familiar voice rang out. "Ethan, you better have a plan." I spun around, recognizing the figure emerging from the darkness. It was Sarah. But when I looked closer, my stomach dropped. There was something different about her, something I couldn't quite place. "Sarah?" I called, stepping closer, confusion setting in once more. That's when I noticed the way she smiled, a knowing smile that held secrets of its own, and then everything went dark. The world around me faded into an oppressive darkness, the kind that felt alive and pulsing. My heart raced as I struggled to find my bearings. But the shadows felt suffocating, wrapping around my limbs, whispering promises of despair. I reached for my surroundings, hoping to connect with something solid, looking for Ethan or Sarah, but my hands found nothing but a void. Jessica. A voice echoed, sharp against the silence. It was Ethan, pulling me from the depths of the dark. I stumbled forward as the shadows began to dissipate, returning warmth and light to the scene. I blinked hard, focusing my vision. The dark alley was gone, replaced by an expansive room filled with strange relics of the past. Flickering candlelight revealed an array of artifacts, old dolls with glassy eyes, dusty mirrors, and gadgets that looked like they crawled from a forgotten future. "Ethan?" I whispered, spotting him at the far side of the room, staring at a swirling mist above an ornate table. "What just happened?" His eyes were wide as he scanned the surroundings. "It's like we're in a limbo between realities. This place, it's connected to the console." I took a shaky breath, piecing together the fragments of my disorientation. "What about Sarah?" "She was here a moment ago," he replied, his tone heavy with uncertainty. "But I think she was part of it. Something's not right." We moved cautiously deeper into the room, trying to avoid the encroaching shadows that flickered just at the edge of the candlelight. Each step felt heavier than the last, like something was pulling at my consciousness, urging me to turn back to a fate I didn't understand. A low hum began to build in the air. It was haunting, unsettling. "Do you hear that?" I whispered. Ethan nodded, his expression grave. "It's the console. It's trying to communicate. We need to listen." "Listen to what?" I felt the weight of fear gripping my chest. "What does it want?" But before he could respond, the shadowy figure of Ward stepped into the light, a wicked smile stretching across his face. "I see you've made yourselves comfortable," he said, his voice smooth, echoing against the walls. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. I felt like a deer caught in headlights. "What do you want?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. "The very thing you brought into your world," he replied, his gaze locked on me. "The console and whatever secrets lie within." "What happens if we refuse?" Ethan asked, stepping protectively in front of me. The shadows around Ward writhed, shifting and dancing with malevolence. "Refusal? Oh, sweet boy, that's not a choice. It's more of a consequence." Before either of us could react, a wave of darkness spilled from the figure and surged towards us. I grabbed Ethan's arm, adrenaline flooding my veins, and instinctively ran in the opposite direction. We burst through a doorway at the far end of the room, tumbling into another space, this one more chaotic. Papers littered the ground, strange symbols scrawled on every surface, and the faint glow of an old computer screen flickered in the corner. "Where are we now?" I gasped, trying to catch my breath. "This must be the remnants of Project Tephra," Ethan said, his voice trembling slightly. "The hub where it all began." A connection clicked in my mind. "The notebook, the blueprint. It can show us how to finish this." "Then we need to find it," he urged, dropping to the floor to sift through the papers. I joined him, heart pounding as we searched for answers amidst the chaos, but the noise of Ward's footsteps echoed ominously in the distance. He was gaining ground, and we had to hurry. "Ethan, we don't have much time." Just as panic surged through me, I spotted a folded paper with a familiar symbol, a sketch of the console etched onto its surface. "Here. I found something." He grabbed it, eyes scanning the hastily written notes. "It's a map leading to the original location of the console. If we get there, we might have a chance to destroy it." A crash echoed from the other room, Ward closing in. "Let us move." I urged. We darted through the shadows, adrenaline sparking each footfall as we raced for an exit. The deeper we delved into this labyrinth of unknowns, the more I felt the weight of what lurked behind us. I glanced back just in time to see the flickering shadows that Ward commanded rushing towards us like a dark tide. "Go!" Ethan shouted, forcing me forward as we barreled down another corridor. Outside the chaos, the air shifted, and a door appeared ahead, bathed in a ghostly light. I had a feeling it led to whatever destiny awaited us. Heart pounding, I pushed through the door, praying it would be the last barrier between us and whatever darkness wanted to consume us. On the other side, we emerged into an eerie clearing, where the remnants of an old playground lay overgrown with vines, a stark contrast to the otherworldly chaos we had just fled. At the center, the console hummed, pulsing with an almost sentient energy. A perfect nexus of all that had happened. "It's time," Ethan said, determination gleaming in his eyes as he approached the console. "We break its hold now." But as he reached for it, a shadow fell across us. Ward stood at the doorway, grinning. "Oh no, little souls. This is just the beginning." A cold chill swept through me. I realized we had escaped one nightmare only to find ourselves on the precipice of another. And in the end, I was left wondering if we would truly manage to unravel the threads of this dark web, or if we were fated to become just another part of the console's haunting legacy. The air thickened with uncertainty as the pulsing energy enveloped us, the boundaries of reality blurring once again. What awaited us in those shadows? I had no answers, only questions, as we stood on the threshold waiting for the inevitable storm to break.